This person says, "Hey there, I've been sitting with something you said and I need to get some clarity. I've heard you talk about owning everything in your life, but does that really mean you're responsible for everything that happens? Because I've had some terrible things happen in my life and I can't just brush past the fact that there were other people involved. Perpetrators who did real harm. Do they not carry responsibility too? And how do you tell the difference between what you choose and what just happened to you? Thanks for hearing me out. I look forward to hearing your thoughts." So, uh, okay, so the whole thing of owning everything, it kind of comes down to this thing of, like I personally own everything. Not because it's true or because I know it's true or anything like that. I just feel better when I do. Because it seems to me, a long time ago, when I wrote the Why Do We Get Sick, Why Do We Get Better, I had the very first podcast I ever had was called The Wellness Detective Agency. And one of the taglines was, "If nothing is random, then everything's a clue." And that's down to that thing of like, for me, it's like everything is either random or it's not. It's not like some things are random and some things aren't. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I just can't get behind that idea that like some of it is chaos and some of it isn't. I don't enjoy that. Okay, so if we just quickly look at, well, maybe if it is chaos, all right, maybe it's all just random and just stuff just happens to you. That may very well be true. The whole thing may be just meaningless. And that's fine. I am not saying, oh, no, it's definitely meaningful. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows. So I'm just going on how it makes me feel. So if I just go, everything's meaningless, it's like all the air goes out of my tires, or I just feel like, what's the point of anything? It's all meaningless, right? Whereas when I go, everything has meaning, and suddenly I'm kind of interested. And even like on the outside, nothing has changed, but on the inside, I'm like, well, I wonder what that means. And when I start asking those kind of questions, I start to find meaning. Now, could it all be an elaborate delusion to make myself feel good in the face of chaos? Absolutely. I don't know. But I also equally don't know that it's not true. And I enjoy it a lot more if I do look at it from the perspective of that it has meaning. Then everything's much more interesting to me and magical and wonderful and full of love. So I don't really care whether I'm kidding myself or not. I just know it makes me happier. Okay. So that being said, I'm just saying that this is the way it is. I don't know what the way of anything is. I don't think anybody does. It's the way I like to look at it. So from that perspective, similarly, it's not partial. Meaning, some things just happen to you and other things are meaningful. I don't think it works like that. And in terms of taking ownership for things, it's like, well, I'll own some bits, but not other bits. That doesn't work for me. I just own everything, okay? So I had terrible things happen to me in my life when I was a kid and, other times as well. And yes, there were people involved. Yes, there were perpetrators. Yes, terrible things were done to me that screwed me up and I'm still working through. But for me in my life, I own everything. In the same way as when I look in the mirror and I ask the question like, of all the times in history I could have been born, I was born in this time. Of all the genders I could have been born, I was born this gender. Of all the ethnicities, this ethnicity. Of all the people in the world, these parents. Of all the siblings, these siblings. And so on. Now, I could go, well, that's all just random. Or, it's not random, it's significant. Now, let me wonder about what the significance is. Similarly, when I look at my life from the perspective of all the things that could have happened to me. I know lots of people who didn't have terrible things happen to them when they were 3. But I had terrible things happen to me when I was 3, or whatever age it is for you in your life. And to kind of go, well, what if I brought all this stuff to look at, what might I be trying to look at? And that to me is interesting. That's not to excuse anybody. Absolutely not. It's not to excuse anybody or any of the perpetrators or any of the people that did anything. They are completely responsible for what they did. Absolutely. And this is not a recipe for giving yourself a hard time either. It's not like, oh, now I made it all happen. So as well as the terrible things happening to me, now it's my fault. That's not the thing either. It's like, if terrible things happen, for me, it's like, well, I want to get the most out of it. You know, I was just a little 3-year-old and things happened to me, right? Or I was a 5-year-old, or whatever age it happened to be for you. For me, it was 3. I was just a little 3-year-old, okay? So terrible things happened. And for me, adopting the perspective of anything could have happened, but that happened. And let me look at my whole life from a very, very far away perspective. Like a movie, like the whole movie. And it's like, okay, I'll have this thing happen, and I'll have that thing happen, and whatever, and this adventure and that adventure. What might I be trying to figure out about myself? That's the question I wonder. That's the question I ask myself. Of all the things that could have happened, that happened. So, why? Why did I bring that in? What am I trying to figure out about myself? What themes did that start in my life? Or what themes are in my life? So, it's not an easy perspective. And if you kind of can't, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine, absolutely fine. And as I say, I'm not saying this is the way it is. I'm just saying for me, I get the most benefit, I extract the most juice out of everything by looking at things in terms of, well, anything could have happened and this happened. So of all the things that could have happened, this happened. So what am I trying to figure out? Or what am I trying to get my attention about with this thing? And that doesn't exonerate anybody from the responsibility of the terrible things that they do. Of course not. Terrible things that people do are awful, and they are responsible for them, of course. But I don't know about them. I'm not in their lives. I'm in my life. So for me, it's like, well, let me just claim everything. Let me be the grand architect of my life. And let me view it from that perspective. And I'm playing hide and seek with myself. I'm hiding things from myself because I want the enjoyment of figuring them out. As I say, could all be delusional, but it's a delusion that works for me. And hopefully, it might work for you too.